What whiskeys am I currently enjoying from $0 to $80? Let's talk about that today on the Whiskey Tank. Hi everyone, welcome to the Whiskey Tank. I'm Joe. If this is your first time checking on the channel, welcome. If you're a return viewer checking out another episode, thank you so much for stopping back by. Either way, if you haven't yet done so, go ahead and do that really awesome thing. Subscribe to the channel. It would really help me out a lot to hit some of my goals, which also has the possibility of helping you out. When I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away this bottle of E.H. Taylor Small Batch. It's just my way of saying thank you, and it's the first in a series of giveaways I want to do to kind of celebrate some milestones that I'm hitting with the channel, and I want you to be part of that. But first thing I got to do is hit that first milestone, so help me get there. So money's tight for everybody, and so I was trying to think of what whiskeys I enjoy in each price bracket from $0 to $80, and I kind of broke it up like this. Under $25, I want to go 25 all the way up to 40. Then I want to go 40 to 50, 50 to 60, and 60 to 80, and those are the price groups I'm going to talk about. So let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. One of the whiskeys that I really enjoy is the one that I'm sipping on in this glass, and I'll talk more about that when I get to it. I think you'd probably be generally out of your mind if you talk about whiskeys under $25 and didn't talk about some of the selections from Benchmark. So some of you know Benchmark is made by Buffalo Trace, and they're basically just lower aged versions of some of their most popular bottles. For instance, my favorite in the lineup is this Full Proof. So Benchmark Full Proof comes in 125 proof. I think of this basically as unaged Stag Junior. You get a lot of those same notes that you get in a Stag out of this bottle, except for this thing's gonna cost you under 25 bucks, which is, I mean, just a great price for this. This is great for mixing drinks. If you want a higher proof that's gonna hold up to a cocktail, there you go. If you wanna throw this on ice, there you go. If you wanna sip this neat in a glass, there you go. It's a one bottle does everything bottle. I mean, what more do you want? In the same lineup, you've got the bonded Benchmark. Now this bonded Benchmark, I consider this very similar to like a E.H. Taylor Small Batch. They both come in at 100 proof. They're both bonded whiskeys. So you know this thing's at least 4 years old. Your E.H. Taylor is probably going to be 6 to 8 years old. That's probably the age difference. But it's going to be a lot of the same profiles that you get out of an E.H. Taylor, except for you can actually find this one, and again, under 25 bucks ordinarily. And then finally, you got the single barrel. If you want that unique expression, similar to like an E.H. Taylor single barrel, or you starting to look at that same mash bill like as an Eagle Rare. So this is kind of a tweener between those, because the E.H. Taylor single barrel is going to be at 100 proof. The Eagle Rare is going to be at 90 proof. I wouldn't put this quite in that Eagle Rare 12 that's at 95 proof, because it's also not, it doesn't have that kind of age on it. But this is a single barrel, so you're going to get some individualized taste out of these things. They're going to be interesting, but they're just, I mean, great bottles. And these are all under 25 bucks. How can you talk about a category of whiskey 25 and under that doesn't include Buffalo Trace? Now there's going to be haters, right? And listen, I'm not a tater. I'm not one of these ones that just said everything Buffalo Trace is great, but you got to admit they make some good whiskey. And this bottle, now that it's available and you can find it for a decent price, I mean, you're talking $24.99 usually. You know, you can find these things for. I got this liter bottle, right? This is a liter, and I paid $30 for it for a full liter. And so the 750s you can find for 25 and under, and they're just a great everyday pour. This one comes in at 45% alcohol or ABV or 90 proof. Great mixer, great for drinking neat. It's an easy, approachable whiskey. Just a simple pour. Good whiskey. Speaking of just good pours, we've got the Wild Turkey 101. This usually comes in, I think the MSRP right now on this down at in Virginia ABC is $22.99. So it's an all-around higher proof whiskey. It's 101 proof, so it's going to hold up to a cocktail for you. You can drink this neat. Now, some of the later batches of this I haven't enjoyed as much as what I like some of the older ones. The Turkey 101 that was out, you know, in the mid 2000s and stuff, and prior to that seemed a little bit better to me, but that could be recency bias that I have too, so it's hard to tell. But I just know this thing's been around forever, and it's been a popular whiskey forever, and the price is fantastic on it. long as we're talking about legacy distilleries, why don't we talk about the granddad here, the old granddad that is from Beam. This one can come in at right around $23, $24. This is the bonded. I find a lot of really interesting notes that I don't find in some of those other legacy distilleries. So I get some little orange zest with this, some little citrus notes, some fun stuff comes out in this bottle that I don't get in sometimes in some other bottles. This one I get baking spices in there. It's a all-around great bottle, and being bonded, you know, it's at least 4 years old, and it's 100 proof. So I found myself getting a pour of this the other night and just shocking myself with how good it was, because I have an app on my phone that just randomly picks a bottle, and I selected this one. I was like, I forgot how good this bottle was. That's another one. Okay, so now that does it for entry level stuff, things that are $25 and under. Now I want to move to things that are $25 and over to $40. Let's see what we find here. So you guys know I can't have a list without having some Jack Daniels on it, and I might as well start with what I think is one of their sleeper bottles, and that's this Jack Daniels bonded. So it comes in 100 proof because it's bonded. You know, it's at least 4 years old. This one I think has a little bit different flavor profile than I find in some of their other whiskeys, and this usually does pretty good for me in blinds, and that's because it's got a really deep, dark caramel flavor that comes through in this, almost like a sugar daddy. I find a lot of the classic bourbon flavors come through in this, like your brown sugars, your vanillas. It's just got what I call a dark, thick, rich nose for a 100 proof whiskey. So definitely worth it. And this thing usually comes at about 37 bucks. I can find this thing sitting on the shelf, and you can find it in most liquor stores too. Super easy to find. I couldn't do this list without having this bottle on it, just because I think this was one of the sleeper hits from last year. I think that this was a value bottle. In blinds, this is so far 1-in-1 for me, going up against a BTAC, so the Thomas H. Handy. And this is 125 proof, full proof whiskey from Sazerac. This is a Sazerac full proof rye. I really love this bottle. This has some real interesting orange zest flavors, some nice rye notes, but it's a low rye in my opinion. They don't tell you what the mash bill is, but I think this is a low rye. I'm getting some of the baking spices, but I also get some of those sweet vanilla notes in this. I get the brown sugar with this, the caramel with this. It's a lot of really approachable smells and flavors that come off in this whiskey. This thing's going to hold up a cocktail for you. This thing is going to be great to sip neat. And I'll tell you what, it went head to head with a bottle that usually goes for about $350, and I think I would choose this thing over that most days. That's how good it is. All right, with this list, I'm going to try to stick with whiskeys that you can find on the shelf without a lot of hunting, or you can get, like, you can order them online fairly easy. And I know that this Blender's Edition might be a little harder for some people to find, but they did such a good job. This is a 10-year-old whiskey that Knob Creek released. This one is at 106 proof. They put this out pretty widely available, and for me it was $34.99. I mean, it's really hard to beat that price. $34.99, 10-year-old whiskey, and it's really good. Now, you're gonna have a harder time finding this, so I'm saying right here, the Knob Creek 9-year. You can get this thing sit on the shelf most days. I think it's like $36.99, something like that. You can go walk into any liquor store and find Knob Creek 9-year. It's a great approachable whiskey. It's got some really interesting flavors. This one comes in at 100 proof. It's got a different flavor profile, I find, than this. This is much sweeter. This is more classic bourbon, okay? So you are going to get some sweeter notes with this Blenders than you will with the regular standard 9-year Knob Creek, but I mean, they're both great offerings and both fall under $40. So some great choices from Knob Creek. Hey guys, let's go ahead and move on to that $40 to $50 price range. So we're up in the ante a little bit on price, but I think that we're going to find some good quality bottles in this group too. So let's go ahead and see what I got. I've got to add Dragon's Milk Origin. This is a 95 proof whiskey that is just incredible. I get a lot of malted flavors with this. I get some deep dark chocolates with this. I get a lot of fun, interesting flavors, and it's an incredible distillery. New Holland is the distillery, and they're just doing some really fun things over there. And there's another whiskey that they also make that's in my glass that's also on this list a little bit later down the line, but this one comes in at about $45.99. I think is the MSRP on this, and it's just, I mean, such a really cool whiskey. And they use a synthetic cork too, and a black synthetic cork, very cool. But if you haven't given this distillery a shot yet, consider it. I'm telling you, I've had so many good different offerings that they put out, from their toasted to their maple to their honey. It's just they put out a lot of fun. So they do Dragon's Milk beer as well, and so if you're into like nitro brews and all those things, they have some fun beers out there too. So if you haven't given these guys a shot yet, consider it. I don't think you're going to be let down, and if you really don't like it, just send it to me. It's fine too. Let's let the Tater Parade keep on going. Let's have Eagle Rare in here. How could I talk about whiskeys from $40 to $50 and not include this for $44? It's a 10-year-old Buffalo Trace whiskey that's just incredible. This is my starter whiskey most nights. If I want to open up my palate and make sure my palate's on before I do a review, this is the whiskey I'm drinking, because it's the same thing every time for me. I get grapes, I get subtle cherries, I get a little hint of apple in there. It drinks really smooth. It is got a beautiful finish on it, a great mouthfeel. It's 10 years old, and now that it's finally hitting the shelf for what it should be selling for, instead of jacking the price up. I remember I paid almost $100 for a bottle of this stuff one time because I couldn't find it anywhere, and this was several years ago. And I tried a sample of a friend of mine, and I was like, that's really good. Boy, that Eagle Rare is some good stuff. And then I paid $79 for a couple different bottles, and now you can go down for me in Virginia and find this $43.99 sitting on the shelf. So if it's not in your area yet, it'll get there. It will. Buffalo Trace has increased production. This is definitely one you're going to want to keep in your bar. Some people love to hate on it. That's fine too. Just leave more for the rest of us. That's the way I look at it. But for 44 bucks, can't go wrong. Boy, you want to talk about a good one. Green River Full Proof. Green River's been putting out some really interesting whiskeys. So they used to be OZ Tyler because they bought the rights for the distillery name, but they didn't have the rights to put it on their whiskey. There was a whole bunch of things that I just don't understand. And just a few years back, they actually acquired the name to call their stuff Green River, and they've put out some real good whiskeys. Now, this one was $48.99. I want to say I gave for this bottle. I just picked up one of the weeded full proofs. I would have that on the list because it was $49.99, but I haven't tried it yet. So I've got to get into that bottle. I'm going to put up against a Weller full proof. I think that's going to be a banger. But since I hadn't tried it yet, I didn't think it was right to put it on this list. But hey, $48.99, great bottle. This full proof comes in at 117.3, and so that must be their barrel entry proof, because that's the difference between full proof and barrel proof, is that they can water this back down to whatever the entry proof was and call it full proof. But definitely interesting bourbon. It's got classic bourbon flavors, your caramels, your vanillas, a little bit of honey I find in this every once in a while too. So overall, great whiskey. Now this one's a little controversial for me. This is the 7-year bottled and bond. I didn't know if I was going to include this in because I think that the regular bottled and bond is such a great value bottle. But I can't deny the fact that for 43 bucks, I think I gave for this in Ohio, I think it was right around there. It was in between $40 to $50. It could have been even like 38, but I don't know. But I know that the MSRP they were saying was like $43.99 online when I looked for it, but I think I might even give the 38 for this in Ohio when I was traveling through there. But either way, I just remember that when I first opened this bottle up, I was surprised with how good it was. I really was. This is a 7-year age stated whiskey. I still get some of those citrus flavors that I find with this, which makes it a little bit more unique and interesting than say a Heaven Hill 7-year that I'm not getting in those. But with this, it's the Beam product. It's a good 100 proof bottled and bond whiskey, so it's got to be a minimum of 4 years, but we know this one's at least 7 years. The youngest whiskey in this has to be 7 years old. These are becoming a little bit more available, although I haven't seen any come into West Virginia yet, but I know that they're showing up in Maryland and a few other places. So definitely a fun whiskey. I would give this one a shot if I was you, especially for the price tag on it. I think that it's a good buy though at the price. All right, let's keep this thing going and let's work up to $50 to $60 price range. All right guys, the first bottle I want to talk about is also from New Holland. So the same people that make Dragon's Milk make this Walleye Run. I mean, this is a 7-year-old malted rye whiskey. It gives such unique flavors and smells that I haven't been able to find in other whiskeys. I mean, it's just something that's sits right in the pocket for me as far as uniqueness without going too far. So I'm not sure on how they're getting all that unique flavor out of their whiskeys, but it's in everything that they make. And I think it has to do with that malting process. So when they start the sprouting process for the grain, it starts releasing different sugars and stuff that are in there that would just not be there, not be present for the yeast to feed on if they didn't malt it first. And so I'm pretty sure that's what causes it. But what I do know is their whiskeys have different flavors than other whiskeys have. For this one, for instance, right? So this Walleye Run Malted Rye whiskey, 7 years old. In this glass in particular, and I'm stealing this from some notes that my wife has made before on this, and then once she said it, it kind of like jumped right out to me. It's like cinnamon raisin bread. I mean, it's just got like that, not raisin bran, but raisin bread, right? So you're getting that sweet, funky pop of that raisin. You're getting some of that yeastiness and that bread from that dark, dense bread that you're getting in that cinnamon raisin bread. And then not a sugared cinnamon, but just plain cinnamon. A dusting of that is present on the nose of this, but all that funky funness is in the sip of the whiskey too. They're just fun whiskeys. And for right around, I think it was $54.99 is what this bottle goes for. Now they do have some higher proof stuff out there too. So I've got a couple of their offerings sitting on the shelf that are a little bit higher proof, and those flavors are just gonna intensify at that higher proof. But just to start out with, this 92 proofer, fantastic. Give it a shot, guys. If you see this thing sitting someplace, roll the dice on it. It's really unique expression of whiskey, and it gets away from some of those legacy distilleries a little bit and lets you see what else is out there. So definitely a fun one. In that same category of whiskey, I got to talk about 1910. I'm a huge Double Oak fan. Now, 1910 out of Old Forester on their Whiskey Row series is a very super approachable. I think this is what, 93 proof? Yeah, 93 proof on this. I get raisins, I get some marshmallow flavors, I get all your classic Double Oak stuff. Now it's not as intense as what I find like in a Woodford Reserve Double Oak, but hey, we'll talk about that in a little while. This is just a really solid, good whiskey that you can find in any liquor store that you go into. Price is reasonable. They run these things on sale sometimes for less than $50, but you're definitely going to find this. I mean, $54, $55, you can pick up a bottle of this, and it is just, I mean, just look at the color on this. It's so dark, and you get all those fun, just Double Oak flavors in this bottle. It's just a great bottle of whiskey. All right, let's get some more Knob Creek up here. Why not? I put this one, and I know some people are paying more for this than $50 to $60, but I can find this thing usually between $52 and $60. Up in Maryland, they have these things sitting on the shelf, and it's a 12-year whiskey, and this thing is a great utility whiskey. It's a 100 proofer. You start exploring all those great oak flavors, so you get that little oak spice that you're pulling out of whiskeys. This, I get some peanut in there, but it's more peanut shell than it is actually like a boiled peanut, so it's a really good peanut. So you're getting all that wonderful peanut, not quite peanut butter yet, but just that wonderful peanut shell smell on it. Little notes of that on the palate as well. The finish on this is great. The mouthfeel on this is great. It's just a great all-around whiskey. And again, like I said, I can get this between $52 to $60 any day of the week. I want to find it up in Maryland. I mean, it's just super easy to find. I don't know if this is easy to find in your area, and if it isn't, I'm sorry I'm putting it on there, but hey, this is what I paid for this whiskey, and it is something that's shelf stable for me. It's something I can go and find in a liquor store. Let me know in the comments how hard this is to find for you, because this might be one that I take for granted, but if you can't get it, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I don't think it's fair either, but hey, just think, you can get some great stuff down where you're at that I can't get where I'm at either, so it all kind of evens out in the end. But great bottle. Hey, let's bring a little of this crazy bird and let's talk about the Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Now this is 116.8 proof, which just makes it a great utility whiskey all around. A great cocktail pour if you need it. It's not so expensive that you don't want to make a cocktail with it, but it's getting up there that it's definitely a good sip on neat whiskey. These haven't been as good for me recently as, like, this is an older bottle as what they were in the past, but listen, that again could be the same thing as Wild Turkey 101. Maybe it's just a recency bias that I'm having, but this is just, you can't deny this is a solid, good bottle for the price. And so at right around $53, it's a great bottle to keep in your bar. Go ahead and talk about the last category they have, and this one's gonna go from $60 to $80. Now, this category has a little bit more challenging bottles to find in it, but they're all available. Every bottle that is on this list, I have found in a liquor store sitting on the shelf with cases of them available for people to grab. And they meet that price point between $60 and $80. And this category also has my single favorite whiskey that's on the market today, hands down bar none, it is the best whiskey that is being made, and it's a shelf stable bottle. And if you've watched the channel, you know the bottles that I'm talking about right now, because I talk about them all the time because they're just that damn good. But let's get started. All right, guys, the first bottle I'm going to share with you is the Old Forester Black Label, so the 100 proof single barrels. I think these are some of the best bottles on the market today, made by Brown-Forman. They are just fantastic whiskeys. It's really hard to knock these things at all. I think that these are becoming a lot easier to find. When I picked this one up, it was $64.99. I ended up buying a case of 6 of them because they were just sitting there. This was at the Maryland Wine House up in Hagerstown, Maryland, and I've seen these things available online all over the place, right around 70 bucks. So there's no excuse not to be able to find these. They are out there. If you have your choice between this bottle, the Black Label, or the green or the blue, my money's always going to go on the Black Label. They're lower proof, and I know that. I understand that, but there's something about these single barrels that are done at 100 proof that are just delicious. I haven't had a bad Black Label yet. I've had some green labels, some blue labels that are a little iffy on, and sure, I could add ice to them or water them down a little bit, and I guess theoretically you turn a blue label into a Black Label, but hey, I'm not here to blend my whiskey, although that's another episode though. I'm here to drink what's coming out of the bottle, and these things are fantabulous. I mean, they just are such good whiskeys. I am getting such cherry notes out of these. I get chocolate notes out of these. I get all sorts of fun flavors that are unique in bourbon, and I don't think that you're ever going to regret picking up one of these Black Labels, especially if you can find it for that $60 or so. You're definitely going to want to get them. I've seen these things for like $59.99 before. I mean, seriously. They're just freaking good. They're delicious. Give these a shot. Go ahead and stay in the house that Brown-Forman built and talk about these Woodford Reserve double oaked barrel proof single barrels. Now this one happens to be from Seelbach. And so this particular bottle was over $80 because it was when they first released them, and I think I paid $89 for this one. But wait, there's more. I picked one up at the Maryland Wine House for $64. So you can get these in that $60 to $80 price range. And there's been other places that I've seen that they're becoming a little bit more available now since they've hit the market. The thing that you got to remember with these bottles, they call them barrel proofs, but they're not high proof. Okay, I think that this one is 96.39. I have another one that's like 97.6. They barrel these the second time at a lower proof. So the first barreling will go in, I think it's 120 proof, something like that. Then they take it out, and that's where you get the double oak name. They put it in another barrel, and that I think they barrel them at the second time at 95 proof. Now, it could be wrong. It's right around there. So some of my friends over at Bourbon Theory, they went over and did a selection of these, and it was one of the first videos I saw on the internet where they were talking about these, and they go into great detail in their video. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link to that video in the description here, so you can go over and check those guys out. We put out some good stuff anyways, but they did go on a barrel pick for one of these, and they talk about the process at the end of their video. Some good information, but I do know that they put these in at a lower proofing for their second barrel. And so when that second barrel entry proof is 95, when it comes out, it's only going to be slightly higher than that. So you're seeing these all range between that 95 to 98, I think is kind of where these things are hanging. But it doesn't matter. I am not here to judge how the sausage is made. I know whatever they're doing is working, because these are just delicious. They are so much better than the double oaks to me. And so that's a $180, $200 bottle. I'm not going to tell you. I will tell you, I paid $240 for a bottle when they first came out. I regret that bottle. That still to this day goes down as one of my single most regrettable purchases that I ever made for whiskey. It's not that it's a bad bottle, it's just I overpaid for it. I think these are better than those, and they're just all around just a fun bottle, and they're becoming more available. And if they're going to be anything as commonplace as what Woodford Reserve double oak barrel picks are, these things are going to be everywhere in no time. And so do yourself a favor, pick one up, try it, especially if you can find a screaming deal like I did for like 64 bucks. You will not be disappointed with that selection. Trust me, they are good. All right, guys, you cannot have watched an episode of the Whiskey Tank without knowing how I feel about Jack Daniels. I just love, love, love it. It is whatever they got going on, sign me up for it, because they are just putting out banger after banger after banger. These 3 bottles, especially this one for me, the single barrel barrel proof rye, are on the shelves, and they are the best value in all of whiskey. The best value in all of whiskey is right here. Right here, hands down, bar none. Delicious. This had baking spice in there. It had caramel. It had apple. It had just all sorts of flavors in there that were just unbelievable. If you name a flavor, you can find it in Jack Daniels. I guarantee it's just that good. And these are rye, and so you're getting all those rye spice and all those other fun things in there too. I mean, it's unreal. I don't know how they do what they do. That Lincoln County process where they run it through charcoal before putting it in the barrel to age must do something. I don't know what it is, but their mash bill must do something. The way that they age their whiskey must do something, because they're freaking awesome. Now, I'm not as much of a fan as the bourbon. Okay, so the barrel proof bourbons, they're good. They're just not as good for me. My number 1 vote has to go to this bottle right here, this single barrel proof rye. The single barrel proof bourbon is okay. It is, which is so weird because I love their 10, 12. The 14's okay. I know everyone, you know, the 14's the new girl on the block and everybody's going after it. It's the highest age and all that stuff. It's okay. I think the 12-year is their best offering for their age stuff. Their 10-year is just delicious too. I get maple syrups, I get sausage with that, all sorts of like really interesting flavors out of that. I mean, it's just so good. And then we have this bottle. So we have the Heritage, right? The Toasted Heritage. And this isn't like a toasted like a Michter's Toasted is, or Elijah Craig Toasted is, or a Peerless Toasted is. Those are all a rebarreling of their distillate. So they barrel it, age it, and then they rebarrel it in a toasted barrel versus a charred barrel. This one is from start to finish single barreled in a toasted barrel. It's a new process they're doing. This thing was whiskey of the year last year for a lot of folks. It comes in at 100 proof. I mean, really delicious whiskey. And there's been some differences in some of the bottles because these are single barrels. So I've had ones with slightly different flavor profiles, but it's all just, I mean, that I almost get sometimes even like a little coffee flavor on this, like a little light, like a mocha coffee almost. It's strange, but great bottles. If you were to buy one whiskey and just leave it at that, my opinion, it should be this whiskey right here. I mean, it just should be. Now, what are these things going for? You're talking a shelf price on this, and you can find it for cheaper, or you can overpay for it, especially when everyone thought this was going to be like their new special LE release. $69.99 is what you're looking at this. I've seen these like for $55.99 before. I think I've seen it for around $50. Okay, people are getting really nuts, and same thing with these. But I think the shelf price is like $64.99, something like that. I would take these bottles if I had to pick one distillery that I was gonna drink from and just have that one distillery for the rest of my life. It's right here, Jack Daniels. I don't care. I don't care. I just don't care. It's just doing things right. That's it. I don't know what else to say. They're just that damn good. Well guys, in case you were wondering, that's what I'm drinking now, between $0 to $80. And like I said, with those last bottles, if I had just to drink those for the rest of my life, I'd be happy. I would be perfectly content. And so, if you hadn't tried some of those bottles on my list, try it. Let me know what you think. And if you have tried some of those bottles and you're not a fan, let me know what you think. We all have different palates. But if you think that I missed something that's in one of those price ranges, please put it in the comments below. I want to learn from you too. And also other people might see that and say, hey, that's one I didn't think of. I can only kind of speak to what I have experience with. And like I said, we all have different palates, but I would love to know what you're drinking and what's in your glass from $0 to $80 and all those different brackets. All right, guys, until next time, cheers from the whiskey tank.